Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to View with Mike G, the show of life, the show of Mezcal again, the show of the Valley, Texas, speaking Spanish, being in sales, and so much more. Today, February 14th, 2024, is Dercy Cabrera from Rosaluna's birthday, and we just recorded this chant a few weeks back. It's quite moving. It really is the first, I think, that Dercy's done on the mic about her life and her success, her personal aspirations for growth, and so much more. Really lovely conversation. So without further ado, I hope you all enjoy this great chat with Dercy Cabrera of Rosaluna Mezcal.
Yes, yeah. She really did. She really did. So first off, I grew up in an environment and with my family that so my first language, right? Mi primer lenguaje era el español. So I was that ESL student that I needed to learn.
Is that right?
Yeah. So English is my second language and Spanish is my first. So the moment I walked through that door, as a sign of respect, I needed to speak to my mom in Spanish. Which, now it kind of loses itself a little bit, growing up in Texas and whatnot, you kind of lose your Spanish. But my mom always asked me, ¿Cómo estás, mija? ¿Qué necesitas? Because every time I come from school, I would always have a fresh plate of food. It was something very nice, but I wouldn't eat it right away. And you would think that whenever you're coming home from school, you'd be so hungry.
Yeah, right.
As kids, you get so hungry. And it's like, I'm starving, mom. What do you... My mom always had a fresh plate, which was mole, the finest of finest with rice. And I wasn't eating it. And she'd be like, what's going on? Yeah, what's up? Because she would have, it's essentially dinner. She would have it with me. It's a nice little... It's a nice way to have your child talk to you because you're sitting down and you're having conversations. Again, there was no phones there, right? At the time, you're just, nowadays kids will be at the dinner table and they'll be busting out their iPads or their phones. But my mom had this magic where she knew how to grasp me with the foods that she knew I would be really happy with. I hated broccoli. She would put cheese on it. So she would essentially just talk to me like, hey, how was your day? And then, that's how the things would come out of like what my day was looking at, like, or hey, today I didn't do so good at running, or today, I got a C in math. I'm not very great at math, but that's something that she's like, okay, well, let's see your homework. Let's work on it a little later. Eat a little bit, watch a little bit of cartoons, play a video game, but let's get back to it. And I think that that's what made my mom so special, that she was able to connect with me. My best friend was able to have that conversation with me to say or ask those questions. So I was very open with her. Yeah. And she fulfilled every single day that I went to school and came back, and I was able to speak to my mom at that level.
I think that's incredible. And when I went to go visit my folks for Thanksgiving last week, I'm sarcastic, and if I say this and people laugh because they've known me a long time, like I'm
an understatement.
All right, there you go. See, exactly. But it's okay. And I went up to, it was the first time she's visiting my parents, and I said, because I'm not like particularly sarcastic with her, like we're cheeky and stuff, but I feel like I'm more just loose and I'm not trying to make jokes all the time.
Yeah.
Although when I travel, it becomes. But I said I got a lot of that sarcasm from my mom, and I said if you when you meet her and you talk, you might get that kind of sense. So I knew that there were things about loving animals that I got from my mom, as we were talking about, the sarcasm, the compassion for all cultures, because my mom was born in San Francisco. There was nothing off limit in terms of the things she would expose me to as a kid, and so I feel like I'm pretty enriched in that way. And so now, kind of as you have this chance to reflect, I'm sure it's very tough still with your mom having passed recently, but what are some things you think that you can be proud of that you got from her? kinds of things in your personality or the way that you treat other people?
My mom was just a force to be reckoned with. She was so strong. Being raised by my grandfather and grandmother, they're just very hard, right? From San Luis Potosí, the south. So deep in the heart of Mexico where there's no light, and you would basically use restrooms as, like I mentioned before, like it was essentially a hole in the ground. So my mom grew so much from where she was at and knowing that she wanted to provide the best for us. What I grabbed from her is to never stop wanting what you truly want inside. What do you want to gain out of life, Dercy? What do you want? What are the big tools? No te rajes, is what she would tell me. Like, don't back down. If you want that, mija, go get it. Also, how are you going to get it? Whether it's through, educating yourself, depending on what is your goal. But for my mom, she was very powerful in the sense that I did not have the chance to fail. So she would always
tell me more about that, right? Like, so obviously she's there supporting you, she's asking questions, she wants your journey to be the best it's possible, but not having a chance to fail, what does that mean?
Not having a chance to fail, like, of course my mom always told me, like, when you fail, like, that's the best way to learn a little bit more about that. But as a whole, in general, like, your option, you're not going to fail.
I see.
You were born to be a rock star. You're born to be Dercy Diana Aguilar. You are my daughter. You're in essence an example of me. So all the tools that I've learned throughout life, I'm going to give that to you, because I don't want you to feel at any point que algo te vaya a faltar. Because the only way you're going to amount to earn, because you don't just get things, you earn them. It's by working hard towards it. And that was brought down to my brother Frank, my sister Iris, and my brother Hugo, and myself. We all had to work our asses off to get what we want. It was never a silver spoon. And if moving on, like, buying the things that I wanted. I remember when I was a little girl, I always wanted this little, like, KitchenAid, the Play-Doh things and all that stuff. I wanted, like, a little KitchenAid plate that I can go and cook, because my mom was always cooking. I wanted to do it myself, and she's like, if you want that, you have to work for that. As a little girl. And I was like, what do you mean work for it? What does that mean? Well, when you come home, do your chores, right? So, and the chores they're very light, pero ponte a mapear, or ponte a escober, if I'm pronouncing it right, but basically sweep broom and pick up after yourself and make sure you eat what you need to be eating. So if she feeds me a plate, eat it. And in general, be respectful. My mom never wanted me to disrespect any of our family members. And that's how you grow to be a better human and a better person. So she was always teaching me the small little tools. So even feeding the dogs, like, go feed the dogs, right? It's doing all those things. So she sees that I'm taking tasks away from her hard life of having to do everything, work double shifts. But when she got home, she saw that the dishes were washed. So she's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. So she's able to buy me the VCRs, right? So like, she was able to buy me the next Disney collection of whatever would come out during that time.
Sure. What did she do when she was working, whether it's overnights or?
Yeah. So my mom, she worked at Mission Western Wear when I was very young. She worked at Mission Western Wear, and with that too, at night she would go and she would print on T-shirts. So she was working at a company where they would print on, like, just a layer, right? So if you may speak, and then they would sell off to, Walmart and all that stuff. But her day job was Walmart, night job was going to a printing shop. And, back in the day, $13 an hour was a lot of money, which is crazy, because, like,
this is in Mission, right? Mission,
this
Texas.
is in Mission, Texas. So my mom was there when I would arrive home from school, and in the morning she would always hey, the bus is here. You have so many minutes to eat your food, but you're going. They would feed us at lunch there at school. I would come back. She was there to greet me. I would eat my meal. I knew she had to leave, so I had so much time. And my grandparents were there, and they were there to help take care of me because I was so young. You can't leave kids under, the age of 13.
Yeah.
Now it's what's the age status that you can leave your kid behind?
You know what, Dercy? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no kid. I'm oblivious to that.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know that. But what I do know is that I remember that after finishing my meal, my mom would leave and I would go and walk over to my grandparents' house. And I needed to behave. I can't be having my grandparents running after me and like, what are you doing? There's Diana, And my mom would always say, make sure you respect them. Make sure. So she always guided me in the sense of, grow up to be a respectful person and just be kind.
Yes.
Be kind. Be kind to anything. One day I escaped from my grandparents.
Escape.
Yeah, I escaped. So I loved all the animals. We raised German Shepherds, and I remember, really amazing animals. Really smart at that. They work in the police force and whatnot. But I left my grandparents' house so little, and I went chasing after the dogs because there was a monte right in front of our house, like across the street. And the dogs just took off. And I was like, oh my God, I needed to go like play with them. So I got lost for a few hours and nobody can find me. Not like nowadays you can put trackers on your kids and put like that little Apple thing. And the air tag, exactly. Damn, if only we had that back in the day, right? But
on the dogs too, right?
Yeah, on the dogs too. But what ended up happening is like I took off for 2 hours, and my grandpa said that he just saw the dog wagging his tail, and he's like, where's Dercy? Onta Dercy, onta. And the dog was wagging his tail. Next thing you know, here I come with 4 dogs. I'm in the middle, and I'm coming back. Next thing you know, my grandpa was like, Dercy Diana, ¿dónde has estado? Holy cow. I never got spanked growing up.
Yeah.
But my grandfather being the father figure, I just remember him so mad. He did not bust out his belt, but you know what he did? He sat me down and he's like, you're going to sit down right there and you're not going to move until your mother gets back, and you're going to have to tell your mother exactly what you did.
Which is even worse, right?
Right. Because again, my mom was always telling me, Dercy, I want you to be able to not give your grandparents wrath.
Right.
They're my grandparents. You think about it nowadays, like you don't want to give them worries. What happens if they get a heart attack because you just went missing, which probably that's what's going on. And I just remember my mom coming back home and she saw me and she didn't spank me. All she said was like, you know what? I get it. I understand you wanted to go play. However, the next time you need something, you want those next pairs of shoes, we're going to skip them.
Oh, wow.
And never did that happen again.
But it's funny too, because I look at it, it's like, we were just trying to get the dogs.
I was just trying to hang out with the dogs,
They ran off. They ran
off. I was just trying to reel them back.
One of the conversations that we had the other night, and honestly, what's interesting to me, because seldom do I talk. Like we've known each other and stuff. We haven't like really talked until that night, and I don't normally do that. But you're here and we're peers. We're in the same industry and stuff, so it makes a lot of sense. But there was something that you said, and names remain anonymous or whatever. But you received a call because this person viewed you as someone that was strong, successful, and really had such a foundational backbone and strength that they could rely on you to share some things that they were going through. Right. And so knowing that, I'm sure this is not the first time or the only time that this has happened, do you view yourself like looking in the mirror, do you view yourself as that strong person that people can count on, and that even if unintentionally, you set an example for others?
Absolutely. So this is where myself comes as humbling, and going through what I did in the past 2.5 years was very hard for me.
Yeah.
And being able to jump those hurdles, and don't get me wrong, it was tough for me. I lost my mother, right? And that to me, she's still is my best friend. I speak to her all the time, but it was really hard. I felt like I lost a piece of my soul. And so people seeing that, me still hard launching a brand, finding out that, one of my siblings had gone missing, finding out that I was going to get married that year with my ceremony, not finding out, but, that was always in the book. Like, we were always going to do that. It was there. It just so happened that my mom ended up passing out that year. Not passing out, passing away. Sorry for
no, that's okay.
But people seeing that, and I like to share my story all the time through Instagram so that people get a real raw of who I am, so that they don't see just the glitz and glamour of the success that I'm having in life. Because I do truly believe that someone, almost everyone out there is going through their own shit. And so when I share that, I feel that that's what brings people to come to me, to open themselves up, and I'm able to at least let them know how I handled my situations. Because by all means, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, I'm the best at how I handled it and whatnot. No, I had a lot of great mentors in my life that showed me of how to go about certain things, right? How to approach people that are fake or evil, and how to approach that situation without having to let your emotions or the ugly side of you come out. And that's what gave me so much motivation to be able to speak to that person that called me that night, because it definitely reminded me a lot of what I went through. But me feeding that person and being able to advise that person or just give them a little bit of light showed me that, wow, like, I'm not being the spokesperson of it, but I'm just showing you the trajectory of my life, of what I went through, and hopefully it changes or impacts people in a different way.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
That's what it is. Like, I don't view myself in any particular way. I just kind of do the things that I think are the right things to do, right? Humility, as you say, was a really good tenet that your mom put into you. Same with my mom. And when people say that they appreciate us, or whether they say it or not, they're relying on us for some kind of sense of confidence or some kind of advice, maybe. Maybe sometimes I think that that's what being successful is. Right. Have you thought about, like, what does that word mean to you, being successful?
Being successful to me is being happy and with yourself, within you. I struggle a lot with also understanding what enough means for me, because I have such high standards. I come from a family in military.
Right, Navy SEALs, right?
Yeah, Navy SEALs, Navy, the whole thing. And so for me, having that bar, knowing that, we are lions, not sheep, that's my momentum and inner self of your conscience telling me all the time, hey, you don't have a choice to fail. Like, you are not going to hit rock bottom. Although you might feel it, you're not going to. And so when people come to me, and they don't even just come to me for advice, it's more the sense of like, can I just vent? And then ends up becoming then ends up becoming a hey, it's okay to feel this way, but it's the come up after that. Because even if you do fail, and by means, like, I'm no one perfect, I have failed many times, and that's where I'm at today, because I've learned from my mistakes, and understanding what the reason of it was, I'm able to share that to people. And I'm not going to just be here like, oh no, I'm great. I'm great. No. I'm going to share what it is, because if you don't, then how else are other people going to understand how to be, in a sense, so successful?
Right.
You're feeding them the wisdom. And a lot of the times I used to think, well, you need to look to your ancestors, a lot old, more wise people. I wouldn't say old, but a lot more wiser people, because they've, they're in their 50s, 60s. So you go to them and you ask them for advice, but literally, like, it's your counterparts, it's your friends, it's you that we can come to and ask those questions, because they might have gone through something somewhat similar.
Yeah.
And so when you come to them, they will give you a little bit of advice, or not even advice. They'll just tell you their story. And so you're like, shit, I'm not here by myself.
That's maybe one of the most powerful things, is that depression, let's just say, sadness, loss, grief, these are things that are a shared experience across mankind, humanity. And a lot of us feel kind of alone in those moments.
This is really good, by the way.
And no, of course, because I try to pick something
you.
from your homeland of San Luis Potosí. This is the Salmiana de Campanilla, which is a different kind of clay distillation out of San Luis Potosí. Just figured, let's pay homage to the homeland, of course. But in all of this appreciation, in this transparency of you sharing what you've been through, which hopefully we can touch to that a little bit, I'm finding for me lately, what I really am looking forward to doing is giving back. I don't want to use a word that's so heavy as mentorship, but if someone needs guidance, business-wise, emotionally, creatively, all of that, that's kind of where I'm at now. I want to, I've done some shit, so let me give it back to people. So are you in that chapter yet? It sounds like you're already kind of doing it, but what does it sound? Does it sound appealing?
Yes,
to be a mentor.
It absolutely does, because it feels like I've amounted to something in life. It's not that I'm searching for it.
Right.
It's actually coming to me. So I don't want to force anything on anyone. You don't pick up the phone and you call a friend like, hey, let me give you some advice.
Right,
No, you let them come to you. And if they come to you, then that means you're doing something right. It's genuine, rather than just being out there and just, hey, I'm this and hey, I'm that and how can I help, and being the spokesperson. Like that's not who I am. I want to always have an open door to any friend or foe or enemy at that.
As well? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or enemy at that is just to, hey, we haven't connected and we might have had a fallout, but if you reach out to me and you just have something to say that you're going through, I'm more than happy to speak to you about it. I'm not going to not answer your phone call, or I'm not going to not go have a cocktail with you. It's more the sense of connecting at a certain level, because we're all somewhat connected in our universe, right? I feel that we're all here to learn from each other, and we need to be able to take that grace and an opportunity, because a lot of us are growing in many different ways and paths. We're learning so much from, when you come to Elon Musk, right? Who I truly do love, him, it's listening to his podcasts and understanding where he got to where he is, aerospace, all that good stuff. And it's like, why? What brings you to that? It's just, he just wanted to do something more, something greater for the people. Continue to educate each other, but I might know something that others don't, and vice versa.
Right.
It's the only way you're able to continue your self-growth and self-development. Because if not, you're just going to continue to go to therapists.
Yeah, I mean, and I have no issue.
Which is not bad.
Yeah, exactly. I have no issue with,
it's actually great.
Pursuing therapy, and I know a lot of folks do that. And I think for me, yeah, I know
it's right here.
Yeah, and I stopped just because there were other methods for me. But
what do you mean? This is your therapy, sir. Speaking to other people and learning from others. I think that's the beauty of it all. Jack of all trades here.
Darcy, don't give away my trade secrets here. I want everybody to still believe that I'm doing this just purely altruistically here that I'm sitting.
Right.
This is something that we talked about, and something that you felt was essential in me understanding you, that we talked about the other night, and to whatever detail you want to recount this. But I was thinking about Batman the other day. I don't know why, but Christopher Nolan has come up a lot in conversation.
Right.
Kay and I just watched Interstellar the other night, which was really a beautiful movie. Oppenheimer just came out, and it's in the theater and stuff. And so I was like, oh yeah, we were talking about Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, and everything. And the thing is with Batman, if you ever want to understand his motivations, you go back and you look at that night in the alley by the theater, what happens to his parents, right?
Right.
Which transforms a young child into something of an icon.
A hero.
Thereafter, a hero, indeed. And you detailed a situation that had occurred to you, or rather that you had endured as a young, I think 5 years old, you said, and potentially driving you into studying criminal justice at Texas State and everything, which were both 2 Bobcats, which is good. I didn't know that you were a fellow.
Eat 'em up, cats.
Hell yes. But to whatever extent you want to describe this moment, because for me, it's so wildly vibrant, but to me, it demonstrates a shifting, a moment that things changed for you.
Right.
And so again, I know what this moment is, but I know that to some extent it's something that I think perhaps defines a part of you.
Yes, it really does. So speaking, of our conversation when we last hung out together, it was definitely kind of we shed some tears, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We shed some tears.
It's tough because
Tough.
I could just read it on your face. And we've all had moments like that, but I wouldn't say as maybe as gritty as what you
Right.
described to me, but I could tell that perhaps that's when you lost your innocence, and maybe that's even what you said to me, right? And I can't even pinpoint a moment in my own life where that I could say.
Right. So I grew up watching Disney, the Bambi movie, and I wanted to just be around animals as always, and sense of why I escaped and took off with the German shepherds and whatnot. And so I was always around animals, had bunnies that my family would always gift me. So I was 5 years old, and my mom, being a single mother, my siblings were in Navy SEALs, my sister was in California, and my grandparents were just, a block away. Less than a block away, basically same acreage, owned land. I was, able to go to my grandparents and whatnot, but there was a night during that time that it really changed the trajectory of Dercy's life. And I would say that it resembles who I am today by how strong I am now. And when I say strong is because no child would ever want to go through what I did that evening. I won't mention the date exactly because it's a little bit choppy for me, as young as I was. But I remember, having this big gate, right, that would close the entry to our home. And so it was an electric gate. So if you put a rock, it's going to block it. And I slept with my mom at least till I was like 12 years old. I was just, very best friends with my mom. I always loved sleeping with my mom. So 5 years old, I slept next to my mom, and I was in my little PJs, little like Cinderella PJs. It was super cute. And I just remember that I heard a banging on the door. And my mom woke up, and she's like, stay in bed. Don't know who that is. But I can see through the window. There's a big, like just so much light. Like I could not see outside because there was so much light into the home.
Like a flashlight kind of thing?
No, it was like a beam of light into our home that you couldn't really see out. And it looked a lot like a huge SWAT cop car, right? And so I just stayed looking that way, still underneath the covers and just peeking and looking out the window in a sense. And I just heard a big bang through the front door, and I heard my mom screaming. And there were these what you call pseudo cops, but not essentially cops, obviously. They ransacked our home. They hit my mom with a gun over the head. She passed out on the floor, and they basically took everything out of our home. Talking about everything, broke so many things. We had a lot of glass objects in our home, like when, just things that my mom would have. It felt like forever, but it was definitely 5 minutes. And why I know that? Because it was from the time that I called the cops. But to say in more detail, I remember going up to my mom, and she was on the floor, and there was a lot of blood, and she was unconscious. First thing that came to mind was, I need to call 911. I went towards the phone. The lines were cut. We were basically robbed. And knowing that my grandparents were there, I came back to my mom to see if she was conscious. She's not. Me stepping all over the glass, I was cutting my feet. And I ran to my grandparents' house, and I was banging on the door, and I yelled to my grandfather. And I was like, we just got robbed. I think my mom's dead. I don't know. So my grandpa grabs his shotgun. He runs. My grandma's calling 911, and I'm there with her. My grandma only spoke Spanish, so I was, basically translating. And my grandfather just went to our house, and then I followed my grandfather, and picking up my mom. The ambulance, everyone was there, a policeman, to just try to see if my mom was conscious. They took my mom away, and I sat there crying in the front porch with my feet full of blood, and just thinking in my mind that I never want to be put in a situation like that. And I didn't know my mom was going to make it. Was a very traumatizing time for me. I grew up with just my mother. I don't want to cry, but this is just you getting raw, Dercy, right? It was really hard. And thankfully, my mom came back, and our house, it was broken. And I just remember all those things, looking at everything that my mom had built was broke. She worked so hard to provide. It was a sense of, wow, like this is something that no one in life should ever go through, but unfortunately we do.
Yeah.
And that's where my criminal justice little brain, I was like, I want to be a cop. I want to protect children. I want to protect mothers. I want to protect people in general. To never feel this way again, because things could have gone really sideways. I could have gotten taken advantage of. They could have taken me. They could have killed my mom. And
did they ever figure out who did it? Was there any kind of progress or? Unfortunately,
no. It really just came down to the unknown of who did it all. What did end up happening was that while everything was going down, I just remember there was people talking, whatever you do not hurt her. It sounded a lot like it was someone we knew.
Right.
It could have been, one of my father's friends or something, but my father was incarcerated, unfortunately, for conspiracy, which that brings it to another point of why I wanted to get into the criminal justice system because I believe that, this is just not the right way, no way to go. I wanted to be straight arrow. I looked up to my brother Frank so much that he just built me to just become a better version of me. Really challenged me throughout life, because essentially after my grandfather passed away, and honestly, he's always been my father figure. But knowing what I knew then, and as growing up, that's why I went into that field wanting to be an FBI agent, wanted to, I did my minor in forensics and whatnot. Granted, going to Texas State University and having the body farm was
the body farm.
The body
farm.
Oh
Body
my
farm.
God.
I know the body farm.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of it.
Oh, I know. I've been out there.
Yeah. It's fun until you actually see the body decomposing. You smell it, and you're like, holy cow. You're not gonna want to eat your lunch for a few days.
Yeah.
But everything was truly challenging, and that's what brings Dercy to who she is today, is the strength of, hey, like, you went through that, you've gone through so many tribulations, and my mom was still thriving after that.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, this happened. I almost died. She was back to work within the next day.
Wow.
I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, someone has to pay the bills. Someone needs to fix this. While there, I'm like scrapping up all the broken glass. And realistically, seeing that woman say, this is not going to break us. It's going to be a long time till we get back on our feet. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But this isn't it. This isn't the end of it. We're going to keep going. We are going to thrive out of this.
Right.
See it as an opportunity to go above it. And so me seeing that so young gave me so much callous of, fuck that. I'm not going to just fail and what I mean by fail is I mean by me not being here today.
Right. Expiring.
Exactly.
So I got a question. Because as I think about this,
pour me a little bit more of that, sir.
Of course. No, and I like this on air description. Of course, Dercy, I'll give you fucking
this is really good stuff, sir.
It's really good. So the Aquarius thing. Feeling understood, right? We talked about this. Seldom. I do now. By my partner, feel understood. That's after a litany of other relationships of which I did not feel understood. But the inner core of you that is telling yourself, I will not be broken, I will not fail, which is your great things to have it inside as motivations. What about I will not be vulnerable? As in, I will not let another person hurt me. This isn't me. I don't mean physically.
Right.
I mean emotionally. Is that a part of you too? Because I could see it being just neighbors right next to life's not going to break me, nor is a partner. Does that make sense?
Yes, that totally makes sense. I have been putting myself in vulnerable situations because I do believe in peacemaking. There's a lot of people in life in general, and then for me, that I consider friends that now are more in the sense of, we get into altercations, disagree to agree, or however you want to say it. Agree to disagree. And I feel that a lot of the times, we say things because we want to be heard, but others take it so wrong. Again, being as Aquarius, we say things because we want to nip things in the butt. We want to be able to talk about a situation that you felt uncomfortable and be able to speak about it for the fruitness of your friendship, because you want to be able to continue that friendship.
Right.
And so people misconstrued us because they say, oh my God, she's too abrasive, or she's just coming off as too strong. In reality, I'm just trying to get my point across so that we can have a real conversation about our emotions and our feelings so that we can put that past us. So that's my sense of vulnerability, of being able to still after they don't understand me, I take the high road and say, you know what? I see where you stand. I'm now going to take a step back. I'm going to let you do you.
I see.
And I understand you now. I get it. You're not going to be the type of person that I can just have a true conversation with.
There's some boundaries now.
Right.
There's some limitations.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah.
So now there's that boundary. So where I get vulnerable is where it hurts me inside that person or friend can't understand me.
Right.
They don't understand me. And so they misplace me as someone that's like, you're too hard, too bold, too aggressive.
Mischaracterize you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When truly, I give a shit about you.
Right. And you can't see it.
And you can't see it.
Really? You can't see it?
Yeah, you can't see it. And the fact that you're just thinking a different way when I'm really telling you, I'm here and I'm listening. Like, give me something, feed me something,
right?
Talk to me, let me understand you.
Yes.
Because I want to understand other people. Because if I gotta modify some shit within me, then I'll do it. I'm not no one to be like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not gonna just continue down a path that I don't think that I should with you.
Yeah, it's self-awareness, isn't it?
Exactly,
yeah.
Self-awareness, yeah. And I know that. And I want to realize that from you. But if I might have told you something or mentioned something and you didn't feel it didn't sit well with you, then fucking tell me.
Yeah. No, and people don't do it. They don't set boundaries for themselves. They think that we're being too terse, too direct, and all of that it's all in jest, or rather it's a goodwill gesture from us. We're just really trying to be honest and open and transparent to encourage the other person to be that the same way. Anyway, but that's something that I think we both kind of experience a lot, and hence why I think maybe often
we take chances.
Misunderstood. We certainly do. We're not afraid of new things. We're not afraid of different things.
But taking chances on people that still question you.
Oh, sure. God, I've done that way
too many times that I'm like, why am I still doing this?
Right. I'm not, how about, okay, so I'm going to phrase this in a question. I'm going to say a statement and then I'm going to do a question. I no longer am trying to save anybody. I am not Superman. I tried to be that. I thought that was the right way to be. Have you had any history of that, trying to save people almost from themselves? I
have. But again, that's why I drew the line of boundaries where I'm like, it comes to a certain point. It's either we understand each other or we don't.
Right.
There's so much going on in life, whether you have work, it's obviously work's always going to be work, your career, your personal life. I'm married. I have,
2 cats, right?
2 cats and 2 dogs. I have my family. There's so much going on. There's so much noise that if the person in front of me is not becoming coherent and understanding of what I'm trying to transpire and trying to get at, then dude,
it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time, and then we're not connecting. And it's okay. People outgrow each other, and that's totally fine. We're just not aligned in that sense, and it's okay. We'll stay as acquaintances. I'm always happy to check in on you and see how you're doing. But are we going to continue to speak to each other in the manner where it's like, you're coming over to my place, we're going to share a plate, pour a glass of wine,
or
some
a mezcal.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of mezcal, because that's really how we met.
Right.
I've been doing this thing a while. You've been doing this thing a while. working with brands, working on the distribution side. How long now have you been with Rosaluna?
So I've been with Rosaluna for 2.5 years.
That's incredible.
It is. It's magic.
You asked me that, and I like that you asked me, because it made me feel like you cared, which I know you care. But in this particular this question you asked me, you said, "Well, tell me what you really think, right? About Rosaluna." I was like, I like it. It's super clean, really, really a nice mezcal, well distilled espadín and all of that. And so I like it. I think it's good. I say that. I think the price is good. And then when I was having drinks, you showed up to Taco Flats. My friend Sergio, he was trying. He's like, man, this is fucking good. So that's that from the mouth of babes, from Sergio saying this, right? But tell me how this journey has been. 2.5 years later, do you feel different in your mezcal journey than when you started? I mean, I probably know the answer.
I mean, absolutely. I have grown a true passion. It's not just like, in the past, I used to just drink what I sold. And of course, right now, I'm drinking what I sell. But not right now at this point in mine, right?
We went off the books. Sorry.
Yes. We went off the books, given from where I'm from and all that stuff. But I genuinely did grow a huge passion with the mezcal industry because at that point in time when I was slinging mezcal, it was Del Maguey, right? For me, the notes of Del Maguey was a little bit too smoky. Ron Cooper's doing such a phenomenal job with, everything he's done, Pechuga and everything. I say Pechuga because that was probably one of my favorite ones. However, when I was approached by this brand, I wasn't planning to leave RNDC. I was truly growing there. And this brand was like, hey, like, look, give it a try. And I'm like, mezcal? I don't know. Like, because that's all really what I was drinking was Del Maguey. So I was like, yeah, okay. And they sent me a bottle there before you say no. They sent me a bottle and I tried it and I was like, holy shit, this is great. Why? Because I am one of the people back then, one of the people that needed something that was going to be approachable into the category.
Yeah.
Something that I'm able to say this is going to be a porch pounder, like for the cost and the quality of it and behind it, the sustainability. But for me, it was about the story of them and not just that, but the taste. I was like, wow, this is great. The label, everything, got into it. 2.5 years later, I mean, I truly do believe that what I'm doing and I'm setting forth with this brand is just creating so much magic. Because when people that are not that eloquent into, hey, I don't know mezcal, because you do know those people that go into that store is like, I'm not really familiar with mezcal. They even at times call it tequila, and they're like, I don't know, where should I start? And I do believe that Rosaluna should be that, right? Start there, and then you can move yourself up.
Yeah.
Rosaluna is the brand that you can actually just be so approachable and great in cocktails, and it's a beauty. And I say it not just because I sell it and I aspire for it, but because the people that work for us and the people back in Oaxaca that I met, Mendez family, they truly are so amazing. We're so well connected. Shoot, they sent us bottles for our wedding in Oaxaca, our ceremony wedding in Oaxaca. They rebranded the label.
Oh, really?
So it was the label said Dercy. It's Dercy and Saul. The Cabrera is Espadín. They rebranded the label. Actually, the bottle looked exactly like we're looking at right now.
Oh.
Yeah, and so they made it that way. And we were drinking it. All our friends were like, what? This is so cool. We're in Oaxaca. We're drinking mezcal. And we're drinking Dercy and Saul's mezcal. This is so cool. And it's like, it's not Dercy's and Saul's mezcal. It was actually Rosaluna. And it was actually batch number 4, which is Magic 4.
Which is on your left forearm.
Yes, it's Magic 4, which is insane how everything's kind of coming together.
I know.
Because as you know, I've told you, Saul and I, we originally got married, licensed, married, was on April 4th, and the 4th day at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And the father, which is his uncle, married us in the ICU room before my mom passed away.
Yeah.
So I wanted my mom to see that I was going to be okay, that we were going to be okay. So and I, family, because essentially like all of my siblings were married and everybody was good. But I wanted to show her that, and I wanted her to be a part of that. And so when the father, he signed the document, he's like, oh, wow, look, 404. And I was like, oh my God, he's like, it's an angelic number. And so we had our ceremony in Oaxaca. Everybody was drinking Rosaluna, embodies, Mezcal, and it was Magic 4. And I was like, wow, this is my mom. She's here.
Yeah.
She's here. And everybody says like, oh my God, Mezcal is just, it's just so aggressive. It's too smoky. It's not approachable. It's like, no, it's not that, guys. Understand the culture of Mezcal. And I'm speaking to the master right here in front of me.
Oh,
you know so much about it. And I love that I'm sitting here with you and we're speaking about this because I can learn so much from you as well. But just in general, speaking about this makes me so much more happier because it just aligns.
Yeah.
It aligns. And it's like, my purpose is for something. I'm here today for a reason. We're the top 3 number Mezcal. Number 3, I'm sorry, let me revert that. We are number 3 in our category at Southern Glazers for our price point year to date.
Yeah, it's amazing work. And again, I do like the Mezcal, and it's been, when I like the people involved, it's easier also to like the Mezcal. Because like if it's a shitty brand person stuff, I'm like, I can just take it or leave it, you know?
Yeah.
But I do love it, and I really feel privileged that I've gotten to spend more time with it and more time with you. So I got a couple questions left for you. And, you know, her mom passed some time ago, my grandma. And she tells me, she says, I talk to her all the time. My mom talking to her mom. And coming from my mom, that's not strange. Like, because we believe in all the things. You know, it's like, I've seen a ghost. And it's like, ghosts don't exist. Okay, fine. Well, then you tell me what happened when I was in Boulder, Colorado.
You mean La Llorona isn't real?
Oh,
like all that stuff?
Yeah,
come on.
Exactly. But knowing how about this? Because things that are really close to us, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's pets, whether it's people, they never leave us, truly.
Never.
And so you still talk to your mom, I imagine.
Always.
Is it something that you set yourself to be, because you're always open to it, but is it a moment, a place you go? Is it a mind frame? Is it a time of day? What is the practice there?
So with how I connect with my mother, it's very special. So when I'm feeling my downest, and I don't want to ever say this, that it's just always on my down. It's also on my success.
Sure, of course.
Things that, una meta, lo que sea, made a new dish, hice mole, construí algo, con mi mamá, todo el tiempo es del corazón. It's always from the heart. It's always when I'm like, man, Mom, normally times like this, I always call you for advice about how to deal with a certain situation. What I do find is silence. I drive, as you know, I drive a lot.
Yeah.
My mom comes to me when I'm driving in a sense of I'm not doubting myself, but I'm doubting a certain thing that I have to go and place. So if I have to go pitch something, I'm like, no, like, what's going on? And then, boom, my mom is like, don't forget, you chase for what you want. You're going to get for what you want if you're confident enough.
I love that.
Confidence is the biggest thing my mom ever gave me.
Yeah.
Always. Aside from her saying you don't have an option to fail, I get it. But at the end of the day, I still miss her deep down inside. But her coaching abilities of being able to raise me to this strong woman.
Yeah.
Shoot, I wake up in the morning, you know, with my husband, which she always cooks breakfast. We're making coffee. We're feeding the cats and the dogs and whatnot. And we're doing our thing in the morning, and then I clock in, right? So then first I want to make sure the family is good. Family first, then business. Boom, get it set and get it going. And that's one thing my mom always did. So implementing that has really brought a lot to it. And that's what I say. My mom comes to me in different forms and different fashions. For example, if I'm having a disagreement with my husband, I can hear my mom. The moment I raise my tone, just a slight bit, I'm not yelling.
Yeah.
The moment I just raise my tone a slight bit, I can remember my mom saying, bájale el volumen. Bájale el volumen.
Yeah.
Cálmate. Calm down. Abajo, mija. Abajo. Ser calmada, porque nada bueno te va a traer de ustedes estar peleando. No los quiero así. No quiero ver eso. It's in the sense that my mom's always watching.
I'm sure she is. I believe that. I truly do.
So if she's always watching, then I need to be able to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I live in a shadow of her, in a sense, that I always carry her truly deeply in my heart. And then I hope that, you know, people that are listening, that I know at times, you know, we take our parents for granted and we might not have the best, you know, bonds with them. But I think it's very important that even if you don't, you try and you make yourself vulnerable. If in case your parents are not the best, make yourself vulnerable in a state of making sure you let them in, because you never know how much longer you may have them.
Right.
Ask for forgiveness. Forgive them, because you don't ever know when the light might just turn off.
Yeah. I think that's wise advice for people that you love and people that are in your life. And
even
of course,
friends.
Parents.
Even
Absolutely.
friends.
It's
even
the same.
friends.
It works both ways. So last question for you, and I think maybe I know how you're going to answer, but I might try to limit it to something else. But ask everybody. You can sip a Rosaluna anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where, with any person living or deceased. Who might you like to sip a mezcal with?
My mom.
Yeah, as expected. So, which is great.
Yeah.
Did she drink?
My mom didn't, but she tried it.
Yeah.
She tried it and she loved it. She's actually, besides my wonderful husband, before I jumped on board with Rosaluna, I remember the VP predecessor to Rosaluna sent her a bottle and was like, I want your daughter to come work for us. My mom's like, I don't drink, but I'm going to try it. And she's like, this reminds me of the roots from where we come from. Mija, dale gas.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, it is. It truly is a blessing. And so I feel that, you know, as hard life can be, everything that my mom has given me, anything that anyone can have given anybody, all the tools in life, use that, implement that, and everything will be okay. And please, like, reach out to your friends, your family, your foes, anybody. Shit, I've gotten to the point where I've even gotten even closer to my father even than I ever was before, because I had true anger, because he left us at a very young age, But you have to learn to forgive to purify your soul to keep moving on.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to keep digressing and you're going to have somewhat of like regret. And that's not what you want to have. If you want to be successful in life, you have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to understand to be vulnerable. You have to understand and know when there's a boundary that's set.
Yeah.
And just fucking be strong and go after it. Because no one else is going to do it for you but you.
Yeah.
And just do it. Because you have one shot at life. One freaking shot at life. Be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like, I didn't so this is the thing is, as we wrap now, that we had great conversation the other night, finally get to know each other a little bit more. But this conversation, as I'm looking at it and kind of almost immediately reflecting on it as I'm in this moment with you, I think this is something that everybody needs to hear.
Absolutely.
You know? And I'm not sure that you've ever had the opportunity to talk about it in this way.
I didn't.
And to me, it feels like you've been thinking about this and you've been articulating it and writing a manuscript in your mind for so long, and you finally like got it out on the page.
Yeah.
I feel really privileged to be in this moment with you, to
Right.
hear it for the first time. You're
Right.
reading it aloud, you know,
Right.
and it's very meaningful. So Dercy, I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here. I will say that I truly, truly am very much amazed by everything that you're doing yourself. If anybody ever gives you any praise, you're a true artist in your own lifestyle.
Yeah, thank you.
I walked in through that door and I saw a piano.
It's a beautiful piano indeed. So we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Well, there we have it. Dercy Cabrera of Rosaluna Mezcal. She just got a promotion, now seeing so much more of the market. She's bringing someone in Houston. The team is increasing. Her impact on this industry is increasing. And I certainly admire how much she's working out. I don't know at my age, I say at my age, right? I'm 44 now, but I take care of myself, you know, but I don't know that I could bust my ass as much as Dercy does, even if I wanted to drink more. So I'm so in awe of seeing all these workout posts, and it's the real deal. It's not like she's trying to tell us that she's better than us or any of that. I mean, she's just trying to say that health is very, very important. And I think it's also very important to note on her birthday today that this conversation, you get the sense that she wants to evolve. She wants to constantly grow. She wants to learn. And that is something, that curiosity is what keeps us young. And that curiosity is what keeps us respecting and being empathetic towards each other as well. And that is not a rant, but I did get a wonderful vibe from Dercy as we talked about what were some very horrific events in her childhood. And I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's out. I'm glad that she has this story and that everybody can admire the journey that she's had so far. So, Dercy, thanks so much for chatting with me. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter how ecstatic you are that you have HBO Max and can watch all the chopped episodes, or if you're thinking, I probably need to take the clothes out of the washer right now, please keep thinking.